he is supposed to do regardless of how he feels. You must train when you don't feel like training. You must protect when you don't feel like protecting. You must be a good man. And when you're actually a truly good man and a high value man, this is something I absolutely realized in jail. What did I say to you? I think we were in jail about 2 months. It was one of the harder days. It was during Ramadan. I lost 30% of my food to cockroaches.
The hard days.
The hard days. And unfortunately, I had one meal a day, but the meal came during the sunshine. So I had to try and protect my food from infestation until the sun went down. And I remember losing most of the food for the day. And I was particularly upset because I had trained so hard, my muscles were aching, and I couldn't get any food. I was only eating once a day. Once a day. And I said to you, I said, Tristan, I have no problem suffering if the people I love are not suffering. My children are taken care of. The women I love are taken care of. My mother is taken care of. Everybody around me is fine. Even if they've removed me from my life and locked me in a jail cell, everybody I love is taken care of and is protected and is living good. I must suffer because I am a man. I am the head of my empire. I'm the head of the clan. Of course, I will suffer, but the people I love are not suffering. This is what God has bestowed upon important men since the beginning of time. When you're a man, absolutely you're right. It is our job to suffer so the people around us do not suffer. And that's why if you're a man and you're waking up every day and you're not trying your very best to be important or upgrade yourself or upgrade your character, or you're lacking motivation, then you have a serious problem, because it is your job to be capable of dealing with the insurmountable pressure which God is going to put upon you, so that when you suffer, everyone around you does well. Our lives are set up that even if they throw us in a dungeon today, everybody we love will be okay forever. And that is what's most important. That's the most important thing.
That's success.
And that was absolutely comforting. That was absolutely comforting in jail when we discussed that and we said, everyone we love is okay. You and I just have to make it through this. And that's absolutely and utterly comforting. And if you're a man sitting at home right now, you need to sit and say, okay, if they plucked me from my life, if they picked me up and threw me in a room and locked me in a jail cell.
Which can happen.
Which can happen to anybody, especially as they continue these matrix attacks on masculinity as a whole. Would your wife have a roof over her head? Would your children eat? Would your family be okay? Think about these things. This is what you're working for. You're not working to make money so you can buy a Lamborghini. You're working to make money, and you're thinking outside of the box, and you're becoming your best version of yourself, so all the people around you will always be okay no matter what happens. It is your job as a man to suffer. And we did our job fantastically, absolutely and utterly, as we should.
We always will.
And we always will. And everybody around us was okay. And that is extremely comforting in times of hardship, because we're built for suffering. We were absolutely and utterly built for suffering. No matter how close I came to crying inside of that jail cell, I knew all the people around me were safe and all the people around me could eat. And that's all I cared about. I used my phone calls. When I would call other people and they were asking me how I was, I'd say, we don't want to talk about me. How are you? Are you okay? Are you okay with the media pressure? Are you okay? Are your bills paid? Do you have money? Can you eat? I'm in a jail cell in Romania. I'm making sure that everyone I love is okay. I don't need their support. I don't need them to sit and worry about me. I worry about them. I sat in a jail cell making sure I could fix the problems for the people I love outside in the free world from a dungeon. That is what a man does. And you must prepare and set up your life for that. You must be prepared to be plucked from life. And understand that everybody around you who once relied on you will still be relying on you, even when you sit in that jail cell. It's still up to you. You are still the man of the household. You are still the top G of your life. Only you. And if you don't pay the bills, who's going to do it? Your wife's just going to what? Go get a job, get like 5 jobs and raise your kids? How's she going to do that? You must be prepared for these things. That is what you're working for. So if you wake up every day as a man and you say, I don't have motivation to become strong. I don't want to work hard and get rich. I don't want to try and become financially free. What you're saying is that the second you disappear from your matrix-controlled job, everyone who loves you and respected you and relied on you is going to starve? How can you live that way as a man? Absolutely and utterly unacceptable.
Outstanding in the rain.
And that actually comes on to another point that I want to mention about these other influencers and these other people out here who have influence, the ones which are controlled and taught by them and purported by the Matrix and pushed out there for everybody to listen to. What do any of them even teach? How does your life get better from listening to any of these people? What do they teach you? What do they tell you? What do they instill inside of you? When's the last time you've listened to them and felt a fire in your soul or fire in your blood to become a better man? When's the last time you listened to them, I need to give more money to charity. I need to help people. I need to set my life up so that people I love will always be okay. I need to retire my mother and make money so she doesn't have to work anymore. When's the last time any influencer on anywhere on the internet, any of them, any of these people streaming this garbage on Twitch and Kick and all these shit websites, when's the last time any of them have ever helped anybody?
I think that's what the average man really needs to struggle. And I've been saying, this has been my message for a very long time in all realms. I've said for a very long time that life for the average man is going to get harder and harder. It's becoming more and more competitive. You need to find more and more ways to stand out and be unique. And the only way to really do those things, unfortunately, as a man, is to suffer. And that's one of the reasons I'm kind of glad that God put me in jail, because if you look at anything that builds a man into a man, there's a degree of suffering. It's very hard to become a man and have a man who's respected and has stories and is capable when he only had a nice life and nice experiences. It's usually the things that made you the best version of you are usually the worst things that happen to you. So the demons I carry from jail, the fact that I can't sleep. The fact that I can't sleep, I've had girls say to me, you can't sleep, you need to see a psychiatrist. And I said, absolutely not. I would be furious if a psychiatrist walked in here and took my demons from me. I don't care if they could fix me with a click, they're mine. And they were bestowed to me by God. And they are mine to deal with, and they are mine to fix, because that's how I become a better version of me. I would be furious if someone took them away from me. I'm glad I can't sleep. Good, I can train endlessly. That's why I'm bigger than I've ever been. I'll train I'm not going to waste a minute. But all the demons that have been given to me by God and all the problems that have been given to me by God are mine to fix. I would never, ever allow anybody else to take them from me. I'd be furious. If a psychologist came in and said I could cure you, I'd say, no, thank you. I will cure myself. I don't care if it takes 10 years. I'll cure myself. That's my job. And I know that when that's done, I will be more mentally resilient than I ever would have been without jail. That's the whole point of it, right? So many men say, I want to be the man, but they don't want to suffer, they don't want to fight, and I don't understand why, because even if you look at a superhero movie, they tell you, even in superhero movies, they make it very clear, Batman's parents died, that's why he's Batman. All the bad things have to happen. There's no way to get there without the bad things. I get so many emails from people complaining about their bad things, and I don't have time to reply to any of them, but if I could, I'd say, good luck, congratulations, off you go. Of course she broke your heart. Of course you're sad, of course you miss her. She's with me now. That's life. That's part of it. That's the only way you're going to get to that level of resilience. You can't become the man any other way. So yeah, I thank God for everything bad that's ever happened to me and all the demons, and I trust that he's not going to give me anything I cannot, in the end, decipher and deal with. In the end, I think it's a puzzle, and you decipher it, and you work out the best way to deal with it, and you internalize the good parts, and you become a better and stronger and more resilient person for it. So I have to thank God for every single one of them. If being average is not acceptable anymore. At all. It's not acceptable anymore, and it's not acceptable in the sexual marketplace, but it's also just not acceptable, I don't think, even in life anymore. Period. You have to diversify now so much to even protect yourself. The idea that you can just be a law-abiding citizen in a country and just work your job and be okay is gone. It's gone. If COVID doesn't prove that, I don't know what will. Yeah. Look at my situation. You have to diversify. You have to be smart enough that you have assets and friends and capability and lawyers and whatever all over the world now. That's the only way to protect yourself. You can't just sit within one jurisdiction and go, oh, well, but I don't speed, so it's going to be okay. I don't think it is. I think it's coming to a point where it's not going to be okay. My mother always says to me, I'm glad I'm not young. And I'm starting to say that now. I'm glad I'm not young. Because I'm telling you, it's going to be scary, right? Because the world is hyper-competitive. Every single thing in the world is competition. I don't think people realize I'm a hyper-competitive person because I understand that every single thing I want, somebody else wants. The girl I want, other people want. The car I want, other people want. The house I want, other people want. The lifestyle, the jet, every single thing you want, somebody else wants. It's a massive competition. As a man, you have two choices. You either accept that it's a massive competition and try and play the game, or you just try and pretend it's not a competition and live in perpetual failure. And it's going to become hyper-competitive, the world already is. You're not going to be able to compete with a person with a computer brain. So you're going to have to have it because you can't compete. And then once you have it, then who knows? Can they turn it off? I don't know. Can they turn you off? I don't know. Can they inject the slave mind programming directly through the chip? I don't know. That's scary. I would never want to do that, but it's going to get to a point where you're not even a person without it. You can't function without it. You're a second-class citizen without it.
Do you deserve to be happy? Genuinely, every single person watching this, go look in the mirror. After this stream, go into the bathroom, look in the mirror. Do you deserve to be happy? Look yourself in the eye. The answer is probably fucking not. You don't deserve it. When you're hungry, it's your body telling you need to eat some food. That's fine. You react to that. When you're depressed, your body's telling you need to change your life. And if you're feeling that for long periods of time and then not changing your life, well, you don't deserve to be happy. You don't deserve it. Everything in life that is valuable must be earned. Peace of mind must be earned. Happiness must be earned. I'm happy because I earned it. I get to be top G. Of course I'm fucking happy. I'm me. When I look at the lives of people who tell me they're depressed, I look at them and think, you know what? If I was you, I'd be fucking depressed. If I was you, I'd be depressed. So of course you're depressed because your life is shit. But whose fault is that? That you have to take some personal responsibility for it. And what they'll do is they'll try and outsource it. Well, I had a bad start, or this happened to me, that happened to me. World ain't fair. Suck it up, buttercup. Shit happens to everybody. I could sit here and be an unsuccessful piece of shit, and I got 10 stories to tell you why I have excuses to do exactly that. And here I am, top G. So that's life. That's life. You have to get shit done. So yeah, if you live a depressive life, you're going to feel depressed. If you lived my life, you wouldn't feel depressed. So now you know what to fucking do. Now you're either going to get up and do it, or you're going to sit there and stay depressed. And that's why these people are so desperate to defend the idea that depression can't be solved. When you tell the world that depression can't be solved, what you're doing is absolving yourself from all responsibility. I no longer have to stand up and work hard and try and be something, because it doesn't matter how hard I work, because I'll be depressed anyway. They know that's a lie. They're just trying to they're being ignorant on purpose to avoid doing the hard work. That's all it really is. I understood that physicality is important. It's the bottom line. It's the final decider. It's actually kind of interesting that a lot of these tech guys and tech people, they pretend physicality doesn't matter, and they make all this money, and they own Facebook and Amazon and whatever. But eventually they end up doing MMA like Zuckerberg, or taking testosterone replacement like Jeff Bezos. It gets to a point where you finally must accept the reality that your physicality and your mentality as a man are linked, and you cannot be happy and strong in your mind if you are weak in your body. You need to have a strong body to have a strong mind as a man. There's no way to escape it. And that's one of the reasons why I preach so much about training, learning to fight, get in the gym, get bigger, get stronger. You will fix your mind if you fix your body. You should be as strong as you possibly can.
Do you have something to prove? I think everybody on the planet has something to prove. If you walk through life and feel like you have nothing to prove, you're a fucking loser. If you wake up each day and go, I don't owe anybody anything, I don't have to prove anything to anybody, you are a loser. You are absolutely not being correct. You must prove yourself to other people. You must prove yourself to your bloodline. You must prove yourself to God. God hates the lazy. He can't stand them. If he gives you all these genetic dispositions and these natural God-given gifts, if you have 2 arms and 2 legs and you can think, and you're not trying your absolute best, that's the reason you're not lucky. He doesn't like you. He likes the people which show him the beauty of his own creation. He likes to give somebody building blocks and them to build something amazing. It's the best thing about being a man. You have to build who you are. God loves to see that. Those people, for some reason, seem to be enormously lucky, right? The person who goes, I don't have to prove anything to God. I don't owe all of my ancestors any effort. You know, for 5,000 years, people were dodging saber-toothed tigers and catching the plague and running from Genghis Khan just for my stupid ass to be born. I don't owe them anything. I don't owe them a thing. So I want to play video games. These people are fucking losers. You should walk through Earth with force inside of you. If I walk, as I walked into this hotel reception, everybody will. Not because they know who I am, but because as I move, even if it's behind their head, people feel something. It's an energy that comes from brutal competence. That's what happens when a predator walks in a room. You pay attention next time you're in a restaurant. If a man who's truly dangerous walks in, nearly every other man kind of looks up at the same time. You feel it. You need to, or you don't survive. We've evolved with that to live. That's who I am. I couldn't imagine not being that. I've done that because I've been trying to prove myself to my lineage my entire life. I wake up every day with something to prove. I have hundreds of millions of dollars. I'm in fantastic shape, 4 times world champion. Fighting the matrix out here by myself, more. I will have to be braver. I must try harder. All I do is prove myself. So when I hear people go, I don't will have nothing to prove, then you're a fucking loser.
It's the denial that's going to hold you back the most. The people who go, yes, I'm wasting my potential. Those are the ones who have potential. The ones who stand up and go, I am wasting my potential. I could be anything and I am not that yet. They have a chance. The men who go, well, no, actually, I'm fine. They're fucked. They're inside the matrix, fully slave-minded. They're a waste of time. But if you sit there and go, you know what? Yeah, I am wasting my potential. Yes, I can be more than I am. Even if I'm already great, I can be better. As good as I am, I still push myself to the limit every single fucking day. I have every single thing a man could possibly want. I'm still pushing myself. This is your prerogative as a man. But you need to be instilled with a sense of duty to your bloodline. You must want it. You need to want it deep inside your soul. I can't die as anything less than emperor. It's my destiny. I have no interest in being happy. I wake up and say, how can I be proud of myself? What can I achieve that makes me proud of myself? How can I do things that make other people respect me and are proud of me? How do I have a day which I complete when I come home? The woman who's in my house says, wow, there's no man like you. How do I live a life so my children look at me and go, Dad's a superhero? How do I make my mother call me and say, I couldn't possibly be more proud of you? I choose proud. I don't choose happy. So if you were to say to me, this cup of juice will make you happy, I'd say, I don't want it. What do I want to be happy for?
Damn.
I want to be proud of myself.
That's some real shit, bro.
So what do you do to make you, what do you do to make you proud of yourself? And what do you do to make others proud of you? I have duties to complete. I have to live the exact same life regardless of how I feel. So for me, happiness is not a good indicator on how life should be lived. You shouldn't wake up and say, how happy am I today? How does that affect how I act? That's not how I operate. I wake up and say, what must be done? What will allow me to be proud of myself? What will allow me to achieve? And those things will be done regardless of how I feel. And that's how the most successful people on earth all operate. The most successful people on earth don't only do things because they feel happy about doing them. The whole world doesn't give a fuck if men are happy or not. Nobody cares about men being happy. We talk about women being happy. We want children to be happy. If you look at a full-grown man on Christmas morning, he's smiling because his wife is smiling. He's smiling because his children are smiling. Nobody even buys him anything. What do they buy the dad? Socks? Nobody cares about men being happy. So why do you as a man care about you being happy? That's how you're going to fall into these traps. I'm a very content person. I live a fantastic life. I'm not miserable or depressed. I'm not sad ever. But I don't wake up and go, I want to be happy today. No, sir. I wake up and say, okay, things must be done. And those things will be completed regardless of how I feel. Regardless of how I feel. You can lock me in a dungeon for an unknown amount of time in Romania, and I will still complete as many push-ups as I can possibly do in the dark by myself. What else am I going to do? Sit there and be sad? Happy or sad? The push-ups must be done. It's called duty. It's called honor. It's called pride. If you had these things, you would never do dumb shit in the first place. So I'm asking you why you don't have them. You could be a genuine force for good in the world. And you know what's funny? The funniest thing, the most ironic thing about all of this is that if you don't prioritize happiness and you prioritize feeling proud of yourself, you end up happy by extension. I'm happy because I'm proud of myself because I have a fucking fantastic life and mansions and supercars and money, most famous man in the world, thousands of love letters a week from beautiful women, street credit in every single fucking city on earth. Of course I'm happy, but I didn't ever choose to try and be happy. If I would have chosen to try and be happy, I would have never ended up happy.
If you are struggling with the motivation to be a winner, then stay a fucking loser. No problem. Stay a loser. Don't care. Because in my circle, there's no losers around me. Your energy is disgusting. I find it revolting. I don't like weakness around me, even near me.
And sometimes when you're true to yourself, it may seem like the Matrix is trying to convince you that if you're a weak little cuck and you're a feminist and you're a little coward, that women will like you more. No, women respect men who stick by their principles and their beliefs. And the principles and beliefs of a man are always to do what he is supposed to do, regardless of how he feels. You must train when you don't feel like training. You must protect when you don't feel like protecting. You must be a good man. And when you're actually a truly good man and a high value man, this is something I absolutely realized in jail. And I said to you, I said, Tristan, I have no problem suffering if the people I love are not suffering. My children are taken care of. The women I love are taken care of. My mother is taken care of. Everybody around me is fine. Even if they've removed me from my life and locked me in a jail cell, everybody I love is taken care of and is protected and is living good. I must suffer because I am a man. I am the head of my empire. I'm the head of the clan. Of course I will suffer, but the people I love are not suffering. This is what God has bestowed upon important men since the beginning of time.
Not just important men, all men. The men in the Titanic as the boat was going down, about to be sucked into the icy cold water, some of the last thoughts in those men's head, I know, was at least I saw my daughter and my wife get on that boat.
Absolutely.
I'm happy to plunge into this ice cold water because there they are on that boat, away from danger. Everyone we love and everyone in the world who we care about was taken care of. And I said, Andrew, would you rather us both be at liberty, but someone else in our life suffer? Mum suffer, our kids suffer, the mothers of our children suffer? No, I'm glad it was me. I'm glad I was the one who was suffering and everyone else was okay, because that's what being a man means.
When you're a man, absolutely you're right. It is our job to suffer so the people around us do not suffer. And that's why if you're a man and you're waking up every day and you're not trying your very best to be important or upgrade yourself or upgrade your character, or you're lacking motivation, then you have a serious problem, because it is your job to be capable of dealing with the insurmountable pressure which God is going to put upon you, so that when you suffer, everyone around you does well. Our lives are set up that even if they throw us in a dungeon today, everybody we love will be okay forever. And that is what's most important. That's the most important thing.
That's success.
Would your wife have a roof over her head? Would your children eat? Would your family be okay? Think about these things. This is what you're working for. You're not working to make money so you can buy a Lamborghini. You're working to make money and you're thinking outside of the box and you're becoming your best version of yourself so all the people around you will always be okay no matter what happens. It is your job as a man to suffer. And we did our job fantastically, absolutely not as we should.
We always will.
And we always will. And everybody around us was okay. And that is extremely comforting in times of hardship because we're built for suffering. We were absolutely not built for suffering. No matter how close I came to crying inside of that jail cell, I knew all the people around me were safe and all the people around me could eat. And that's all I cared about. When I would call other people and they were asking me how I was, I'd say, we don't want to talk about me. How are you? Are you okay? I'm in a jail cell in Romania making sure that everyone I love is okay. I don't need them to sit and worry about me. I worry about them. That is what a man does. And you must prepare and set up your life for that. You must be prepared to be plucked from life and understand that everybody around you who once relied on you will still be relying on you even when you sit in that jail cell. It's still up to you. You are still the man of the household. Only you. And if you don't pay the bills, who's going to do it? Your wife's just going to what? Go get a job, get like 5 jobs and raise your kids? How's she going to do that? You must be prepared for these things. That is what you're working for. So if you wake up every day as a man and you say, I don't have motivation to become strong. I don't want to work hard and get rich. I don't want to try and become financially free. What you're saying is that the second you disappear, everyone who loves you and respected you and relied on you is going to starve. How can you live that way as a man? Absolutely not, really unacceptable. I train every single day and it doesn't matter how I feel. So in fact, I would actually argue that the number one way to deal with most of life's problems is always the same thing. You were saying that people deal with things in many different ways. That is true. But in my experience of life, there's only one way to deal with anything. It doesn't matter if you're heartbroken. It doesn't matter if you're sad. It doesn't matter if your bank balance is low. It doesn't matter if you lose a family member. It doesn't matter what it is. The answer to everything is always the same. Hard work. Work harder. The worse things are, the harder I will work. Jail changed me and I had some trouble in there. I never missed a single day's training. Since I've left jail, I can't sleep. I have nightmares. I've been training harder than I've ever trained. I put it all over Twitter. I'm doing 6-7 hour days. I could sit around and complain about being tired. I could sit around and be a bitch. I could sit around and cry. Or I could just work harder than I've ever worked. It's fantastic that I can't sleep. It's all the time I need. So I can train endlessly. So my point is the answer is always hard work. What else is my answer going to be? I'm struggling with something. I'm going to work less. Does that make sense to you? How's that going to fix anything? Now, as I decipher the puzzle, because that's what life is, it's a puzzle, and as I decipher the lesson that has been bestowed upon me by God, and as I repair my mentality and become a more content individual or perhaps a more stable individual like I was before, at least in the meantime, I've done a whole bunch of work. At least I've gotten bigger, stronger, faster, richer. What else am I going to do? Sit around and mope like a dummy? The answer is always hard work. Anyone who's watching this, no matter what problem you're facing in your life, there's only one answer: work. Work harder. It's actually funny, and I've said this before, so I'm going to say it again. You can also take the antidote before the poison. If you're always working as hard as possible, it's actually very difficult for bad things to actually catch up with you. You can take the antidote before the poison. Most people don't even work very hard. You think you work hard, you could work a lot harder. Hard work's always the answer, my friend. So there's a lot of people who are chasing the familiar feeling, and that familiar feeling can be extremely destructive. And you know what I would say is the most destructive feeling to be obsessed with trying to obtain? Happiness. Constantly, as a man, trying to chase happiness as the most destructive thing you can do for your life. Because you can't delay gratification. You can't do anything which is particularly difficult. And the only thing that's going to make you happy quick is cheap happiness. Cheap and easy. Booze, cake, drugs, dumb shit. Real happiness, real contentment, and pride takes a long time to build. You have to be able to be unhappy to have a greater reward at the end. Every night I dream of freedom, and then I open my eyes and I'm in the same familiar jail cell. I take a few minutes to swallow my disappointment and begin my morning push-ups. Maybe tomorrow I'll wake up somewhere else. I've not lost hope. This is important, especially if you are at home and you're not yet as successful as you want to be, if you don't have your life in exactly the place you want it, if you still feel trapped, whether it's financially or some other way. You wake up and you must be dreaming of freedom, but when your eyes open, after the disappointment, swallow the disappointment, take a minute and look around you and say, I deserve more than this. But then, what's the important point? You must begin to work. Instantly. I did not miss a single day of training in that jail cell. I didn't sit and say, I'm too depressed, I'm too sad, it's too cold in this freezing cell, I didn't eat enough because it's Ramadan. No excuses. Every single day we trained, we woke up disappointed, we swallowed the disappointment, and we got to training every single day. If we could train in a freezing cold jail cell in Romania, the cockroaches all around us, with no idea when we're going to be allowed freedom once again, you can train in a nice gym, air-conditioned gym in California. What is your excuse? If you imagine something truly and fully, if you truly, completely imagine it, to a degree, your body will react to it. Let me give you an example. If you truly imagined yourself at war, day after day, you imagined yourself under attack, defeating the Matrix agents, you're top G, you're walking through life, the agents are coming, you're doing Aikido and you're destroying them, and you're the most powerful man in the world. If you truly imagined that and felt it in your mind to the point where you thought you were there and you felt it in your body, I would guarantee you, after X amount of time, you would have a higher testosterone level and your muscles would be stronger than if you didn't. I will guarantee you that.
So first things first, you need to be worthy of respect. And you're going to be worthy of respect through having things which are difficult to acquire. So first things first, the basic things, you need to be very focused on trying to make money, because people listen to you when you have money. They just do. Secondly, you need to be in fantastic physical condition, because when you're in fantastic physical condition, it cannot be bought. It must be earned. And people know that. If someone walked in to sell me something and they were obese, I would not trust them the same as if they were in fantastic physical shape. Because I'd say, I don't think you have dedication and heart. There's something about you that I just wouldn't trust you the same. So fantastic physical condition and money is the first thing. The second thing, whatever your ideas are, you need to learn how to communicate them. Speaking is a superpower in and of itself. You need to become a fantastic communicator. You need to be comfortable in all realms of communication. You need to be persuasive. You need to be comfortable arguing. You need to be good at debating. There's a lot of people out there in the world who have ideas that they can't even project into somebody else's mind. How are you gonna rule the world with that? How are you going to get your ideas out there and make an influence if you can't make other people understand exactly what you think? That's the first thing. Second thing, once they understand exactly what you think, you need to make them agree with what you think. These are two different skills. Must be practiced and must be learned. If you're 20 years old and you want to change the world, you need to be having endless debates, endless, without resorting to name calling, not on Twitter like a dummy, in person. And you need to come across in a way that people agree with you. We can go back quickly and talk about the red pill. The difference between me when I talk to girls on these panel shows and every other guy when they talk to girls on these panel shows is, when I'm done, all the girls want me. I say the same thing, and by the end the chicks are in love with me, as opposed to saying the same thing and the chicks thinking I'm a dickhead. That's the difference. I project my ideas and I make them agree with my ideas to a point where they're like texting me afterwards. I'm not saying anything different, it's how I'm communicating it. You can catch more flies with honey than hurting people sometimes. So you need to be good at everything. You need to have a Swiss Army knife of tools. I know when to be intimidating or aggressive. I know when to come across as obtuse. I know when to come across as exceptionally open-minded and easy to understand. I know when to come across as understanding. I know all these things. This all has to be practiced. And a lot of it is, communication. I would say, if you're gonna say to a 20-year-old who's truly exceptional and driven, I'd say you need to become a master communicator. Because once you can do that, you can do anything. And that fixes all the other problems, right? We talk about making money. If you're a master communicator, you do fantastic in sales. You'll absolutely destroy sales if you're a master communicator. Being a good salesman is not necessarily being a liar. It's not being a trickster. It's just understanding what's gonna make the person believe and understand what you say. And that's where all this master communication comes in. And it's so many subtle little things. Not many people know this, but I used to sell windows. Nobody wants glass and plastic. They already have windows. So you gotta find a way to sell them these windows. How do you do that? If I walked in and said, would you like new windows? And they essentially said, no, we don't need new windows. Our windows look fine. I would say, but what about the security aspect? While looking at their 3-year-old child. And they'd sit there and go, what do you mean security aspect? And then I talk about how we had the lock 5000, and their locks are easy to break, as if glass isn't glass, it's all the same anyway. And you'd end up selling the windows. You have to find the triggers in people. But also, to be a master at communicating, you also need experiences worth talking about. You have to live a life. You need a degree of wisdom, and wisdom doesn't always come with age, it comes with life lived. I had a guy message me, this is a long time ago when I used to reply to my own emails, too big now, but he said, I don't have any stories, my life's boring. I said, bro, where do you live? He said, Madrid. I said, bro, ride the train from Madrid to St. Petersburg. Ride the train from Madrid to Vladivostok, do the Trans-Siberian Railway, cost you like $300. He goes, oh, but what if I get robbed? Exactly! That's exactly the point! What if you get robbed? Now you have a story. Maybe you'll die, maybe you won't. But you have a story. Don't bring your watch. If you got a Rolex, no one wants to rob you anyway. Don't worry about it. You're brokey. Get on the train. There has to be that degree of risk to even have a story, because when you have a story, then you can communicate the story. You can't be an empty vessel either. So when you say you're telling me how I build this 20-year-old into a super soldier. Yeah, he has to be a master communicator, but he also has to do things which are risky. Risk has value intrinsically linked to it, intrinsically. This is why people, when you do risky things, people want to hear the story. Your coolest stories involve risk. Something went wrong, this could have happened, I almost this, I made it out. Without these risks, you haven't got it. So I would say to the 20-year-old, do what I did. Get in the cage. Get in the ring. Knock someone out. Get knocked out. Train hard. Fighting will teach you everything you need to know about life. You'll learn everything about who you truly are. You'll learn if you're a coward or not. You'll learn everything about perseverance and hard work and dedication. Everything about being underappreciated. You learn everything about fear. You learn all of it. You learn everything about people. You win a fight, check your phone. Lose a fight, check your phone. You learn all about people. You learn all about women. I learned so much about women through fighting. When I had a fight coming up and I was weight drained and I had barely eaten in weeks and I'd lost all this weight and I had a world title fight and I'm fighting a guy who might kill me and she's complaining about the toilet seat. I learned all about women. You learn a lot about life through these difficult processes and paths. And there used to be for men like a rite of passage. In most societies, you had to go through something to become a man, from a boy to a man. But that thing was always difficult. It's always been difficult. Now you have to self-induce it, self-inflict it. But if you're going to be a boy and never bring on that self-inflicted rite of passage, how are you going to ever become a man? There's another thing people don't understand about me and my message. Sometimes I sit here and I say things that piss people off because that's how you trigger people to make action. I have often written emails or done videos especially to men when I want to help men, to piss them off. You're a loser. You're a dumbass. Andrew, why you mean? Because you're not going to go to the gym unless I tell you you're a fucking loser. And you are a loser, and I'm not lying to you. You are a loser. The emotional trigger you need to get up off that chair is the fact that you're not important, nobody cares who you are, any girl you're ever in love with I could take, and you're insignificant, and when you die, nobody's interested. That's your fault. You could have been something else. You did that. You failed. It has to be done. You have to be a master communicator, and sometimes that involves also insulting people. I think a man has a duty to his last name. I think we carry the last name. We have a duty to our last name. I am a Tate. I am my father's son. The reason my father is discussed so heavily is because of my monumental success. I keep him alive via my success. I would love to think my son does the same thing. They will talk about my son in a way where they're so interested in his life path that I must be discussed by extension, and then I live forever. So I have a duty to Tate. I have a duty to my last name. I must perform. And even as a man today, you're waking up, you want to load up a porn website. You should have respect for your last name. And you should sit and say, is this who I am? Is this what I do? Well, you have no dignity? Well, I have too much dignity for that shit. And a lot of these men have no dignity, no self-respect. And it's all an extension. It extends of why they're never going to be who they could be and also what they do to cope with that. And yeah, porn is a coping mechanism. If you have a porn addiction or you have a problem with porn, you have a problem with yourself, because I guarantee if you were the kind of man you're supposed to be, you would have no time for that and you wouldn't need it. I can confirm that's absolutely not the case.
Yeah.
So the fact you even need porn shows there's a problem with you as a man, because if you were the kind of man you could be, and I genuinely believe that any man can become anything, then you'd have unlimited sexual options and you would have no interest in that. I think that if you are black, white, Asian, I think if you stand up, self-respect, work hard, try your best, turn up on time, firm handshake, don't make excuses for anything, don't look for an easy way out, no matter what your skin color is, in America or England or any other Western nation, I think you can be extremely successful. I don't think anything's stopping you. I was raised on welfare in Marsh Farm, which is the worst area of the worst town, Luton, with the highest crime rate. I went to a school with a 4% pass rate, single mother household effectively. So I started at the absolute lowest echelon of life, and I would like to consider myself somewhere near the top now. I've been through absolutely every stage. So when I say to men, you can become anything you want, and my answer to you is masculine excellence, there's no other answer. I can't tell you how to rig the game and cheat the game. So that's why I preach masculine excellence, because for many of the world's problems today, porn, sexual access, being respected by your peers, making sure that your wife's gonna stay with you after the children are born for a very long time,
that's right,
being happy, anything, it all comes down to who you are as a man. The only answer is masculine excellence. There's nothing you can do besides hard work, accept the trauma and pain and suffering, and work harder than everyone else around you worked. And that's why porn's a problem. So I will genuinely say to any man out there who finds himself loading up that website, go take a look in the mirror and realize why no one wants to fuck you. Work out why and do something about it. Absolutely not self-accountability. This is something that's also missing. I take accountability for everything in my life. Even going to jail, although it was unfair, although it's a matrix attack, although it's garbage, it was my fault. I sat there and go, what did I do wrong? How can I learn from this? Where is my part to play in this? What did I do? Because my actions are what I have the most control over. I have self-accountability for everything. If a woman doesn't want to sleep with me, I don't sit and say, women are this way, society's that way. I just sit and say, okay, why? What can I change? So any man who's loading up porn needs to go have a long conversation in the mirror and realize that he's not desirable or as desirable as he should be or could be.
Women are a fantastic side effect to unlimited success. It's very difficult to do everything right all the time in all realms and be extremely successful in all the realms a man should be successful and then still end up lonely. I think that's almost impossible, I would argue.
Yeah.
It's basically almost impossible. Like, I have to try very hard to Aikido chicks away from me. It's not the opposite. And you also have to understand, man, I say this to people all the time and people laugh when I say it. I say, if you're watching this podcast as a man, when this finishes, when you've done the push-ups Tiggs told you to do, go look in the mirror and ask yourself a very simple question. If I was a girl, would I sleep with me? And the answer is probably no. Yep. Whose fault is that? Yep. You, because she has all the choices in the world. She can choose anybody she wants. Why would she choose you? Are you really that funny and interesting and unique? Are your life stories really that cool? Tell me something you've done that no other man's ever done. Tell me something about you that's genuinely unique. And this is where a lot of my message gets confused, and especially MSM and everyone who attacks me and all this garbage. I've been told I talk quite pessimistically, but I try and explain to men, if you want to stand out, if you want to be different, if you want to be the kind of man who can talk about himself in a way and be discussed by females in a way that other men can't be discussed, you need to go through some bullshit. You're never going to become interesting and unique and the kind of man that can't be replicated through all the happy things in your life. You can't just go to the fucking circus and eat popcorn and come out and be a G. You're a G when you've suffered. That's the reality of it. Every single man you meet who people respect, both men and women, usually has a story that makes you think, ooh, I wouldn't want to be that guy. Ouch, that would have hurt. Yep. That was difficult. And so when you tell me something like, oh, I lost 115 grand in crypto, I actually think that's a very soft story. Fine. But what have you at least learned from that? Can you at least tell the story in a compendious and interesting way? Can you even sit down and tell somebody that story in a way which is engaging enough for them to listen to you? Do you at least have a joke out of it? Most men can't even tell a story in a funny way, bro. Something will happen to them. They can't even repeat it in a way anyone wants to listen to. What was the point of losing your money if you can't even tell anybody around the fucking table with some drinks and be fun about it? So what's the lessons here? You're boring. You can't talk. You're a dork. Those are the first three lessons you need to fix. Next is, why is that all the money you got? You're broke. How did it happen? You're stupid. You have a whole bunch of lessons you need to internalize, and that event could be the best event that ever happened to you to change you as a man to become the kind of person who doesn't give a shit about $115,000. So God gives you these chances to suffer so you can level up your character. But I'll often tell you, most of you people at home which are complaining that your life is difficult, I'll actually argue that most of your lives are too easy. Even though that God gives you these chances to level up and God gives you these difficulties, most of you, 99% of you, need to adopt more difficulty yourselves. I mean, you need to wake up and find more struggle yourself if you truly want to be a fierce competitor.
Yep, you got to find pain.
And this is where, again, it goes back to leveling up your character and your network and who you are as a man. You had that money in the bank, your bills were obviously paid. Did you at least use that time to become fearsome? Did you at least use that time to become the kind of man who can wear a normal ass t-shirt but still look like Hercules? Because if you didn't, then you wasted the money anyway. That's the kind of thing you should have been doing as bare minimum standard. That's bare minimum. And men speak without speaking. I can meet somebody without saying a word, and within the first 3 seconds, I know if he's a bitch or not. Everybody knows this is how men operate. We instantly can analyze somebody and see if they have value or not. It's something that's almost instinctual that you can't explain. So the easiest way, I have a lot of people ask me, hey, how do I come across as high value? Be high value? How about that? That's the easiest way to do it. Why are you trying to fake? Why are you trying to lie? This is what's truly amazing about the masculine experience. I have so many people message me, and I get thousands of emails a day, and people are always looking for this hack or this cheat or this quick way to achieve something. You have to just become the man. There's no other way to really do a lot of things. But I guarantee if I were, your dad doesn't even know me, But I guarantee if I were to speak to him for 10 minutes, because of the way I would articulate myself, because of the way I would express my opinion, because of who I am, because of my physicality, because of the car I turn up in, he'd probably be more likely to listen to me than you, his own son. Why? That's your fault. And that's something you've decided to be. It's a decision you've decided to make. And this is what I don't understand. I truly don't understand how most men don't wake up and think, shit, I'm not good enough. And I think you need that degree of insecurity, I guess, and anxiety that's going to propel you towards the top, because there's always more work to do, and you're competing against people like us who are out here to destroy you, and that's the reality of the game. You have to take absolute and utter accountability in your life as a man. For everything. It's all your fault. There's nobody else's fault. It's your fault. And I was literally sitting in jail with a bullshit garbage case, which I know is all imaginary, saying this is my fault somehow. You have to find out, otherwise you don't get the lesson in it. The guy who had the 2.4 million gambled, or the guy who lost 115 grand, that's your fault. Yep. Good. What have you learned from it? Have you actually learned anything, or are you just sitting there going, I wish I had it back? Because if you didn't learn anything, you lost it all for nothing, right?
Yep.
And if you did genuinely learn something, then you're going to change your life for it, because I don't think most people can learn anything unless it's painful. I've never seen people learn lessons the easy way. When someone learns a lesson the easy way, you know what they think? They think, I got away with it.
Yep.
Over and over again until it eventually burns and stings them. And that's the only time they learn. Humans only learn the hard way. So when you finally get a hard lesson, fantastic. However you lost that 115 grand, I guarantee it won't happen again unless you're a dummy. You need to pay attention to it. So you need to be happy that these lessons come. You just have to make sure you ingest them and you don't allow them to happen to you again.
I think a man should have absolutely no interest in whether he's actually happy or not. If I wake up and I'm unhappy, I will do the exact same things as if I am happy. I will go to the gym the same. I will work the same. How I feel has no impact on how I live my life. I don't think happiness as an index is a healthy view for a man to have on life success. I think of a man, if you put happiness if you move it down the scale, right, and you start looking at, am I successful? Am I competent? You know, am I achieving things? Am I respected? If you start to look at these indicators of your life, you're going to end up being happier without actually analyzing if you're happy or not. I'm happy every day, right? Let's say happiness is a scale. If you're not distraught, then you're happy. And I mean that like 3 or 4 times in your life, like a family member is going to die, or something really bad's going to happen, and you're going to be devastated. And when you're distraught, you can't even talk. Like, you know, when you're genuinely heartbroken, you can't even speak. You can't even talk. You just want to be left alone, and you can't talk. Those days are coming for all of us. Either we're going to die, or someone we love is going to die. Those days are coming. This is guaranteed. So until those days come, I'm happy. I'm very binary. Yes or no, 1 or 0. Unless I'm distraught, I'm happy. Now, happiness can be a sliding scale, right? I can be less happy some days than others, but I'm still happy because I'm not distraught. When I say I don't believe in depression, nobody can convince me to believe in depression. That's not a matter of discussing whether depression's real or not. That's a matter of me accepting that my mental model for going through life is more effective if I don't believe I can become a depressed person. Yeah. I don't believe in depression, so I can't be depressed, so that allows me to be more effective. It's not a matter of sitting there going, well, maybe it's true, maybe it isn't. I don't believe in it, so I can't catch it.
You shape your own reality through the conviction of your thoughts, your beliefs, and the words that you use.
Why else would you adopt any kind of mindset unless it's designed specifically to make you competitive and make you win? We're all programmed to some degree. I don't think anybody can escape programming, whether it's society, whether it's a television show, whether it's the people around you, peer pressure, whether it's a religion. We're all programmed to some degree. That's absolutely not really true. What I have done, and what I think most people do not do, is heavily analyze why I hold the beliefs I hold, why they help me. If I don't hold the belief personally, or if I didn't learn it from personal experience, I know where it came from, who tried to teach me that, whether their intentions for me were good or bad. And I've tried very hard to have my mindset rigidly analyzed and make sure that it's put together in a way which benefits me completely and absolutely. And I do not believe in things that take away power from me. Right. I refuse to do that. I would rather say that they are not real. And people will sit here and argue to the end of time that they are real, but they're not real in my world, and I live inside of my mind. So even if you throw me in a Romanian dungeon, the idea that I become a depressed person is not a framework that my mind works within, so I can't become depressed. I can feel a little bit sad, sure, I can feel depressed, but I can't be depressed. Maybe it's just a semantics trick, and maybe it's that simple. Maybe it's as simple as saying, I feel a little bit depressed today, but I am not a depressed person, and I cannot become depressive. I'm not going to have depression. Maybe it's just a semantics trick, and by saying that alone, I understand that it's a temporary state of mind, which I can alter and I can affect. And I've never struggled with long-term depression or long-term negative thoughts because I don't believe in that mental model. I think that your mind, like I said, it's software, it's programmed in, and they say inside the Matrix or in every single video game, there are boundaries and there are limits. There are certain things you can and can't do. And I don't believe my mind can be put in a state of permanent negativity. I don't believe in that. I don't think it's possible, so it just doesn't happen. I will never adopt the thinking of somebody who is sad, and I will never adopt the thinking of somebody who is less competitive than I am or less successful than I am. If someone comes along and goes, Andrew, you are wrong, the way you see the world is wrong, but they are suffering from an affliction, why would I adopt a single iota of what they say? Life as a man is hyper competitive, and whatever software you have in your mind should be designed to make you as competitive as possible, and you shouldn't be believing in absolutely anything else. So I've tried very hard to make sure all of my worldviews and all of my experiences and everything is curated and aimed in a direction which is going to allow me to be a fierce competitor in all realms of human endeavor. When men say to me they're depressed, with unlimited options, with the capability to become anything you desire, with God giving you a full and able body and mind, how do you have time to be depressed? You have so much you could do. There's so much that you need to do to be your best self, and you're competing against men like me, and you're finding hours a day to be sad? No wonder you're going to perpetually lose forever. That's suicide. So how do you find time to do this? It's brutally ineffective. You have a brain, you have a mind, you have a mental model. You can't think of everything, you can't do everything. You can only have certain frameworks instilled inside of your mind. As a man, you should be hyper competitive. You should try and be the best version of yourself you can be. You're competing against every other man on earth for the girl you want, the car you want, the house you want, the watch you wear. It's all competition. You should be as competitive as you possibly can. Anything that's inside of your mind which doesn't allow you to be competitive should be erased. This is why I can't name a weakness. I can't name a weakness I have. I've compensated so heavily for any weakness that may exist, I don't even see them anymore.
What is your responsibility to God?
I think God wants me to be the best possible version of myself. I think that God dislikes people who are lazy. God doesn't like lazy people. God has created you, and he wants to see the absolute best you can be. I think that if you don't take care of yourself, God has no interest in taking care of you. If you have a Ferrari on the drive and you don't take care of it, who's going to take care of it? Nobody. I think that taking care of yourself and being the best possible version of yourself you can be is how you please God. I think that's one of the best ways to praise him, is to wake up every day and say, I need to be the strongest, smartest, fastest, most fearsome, most stoic, most capable man I can possibly be. This is how I please God. So I think your duty to God is also these things, and that's another massive source of strength that I get. When I'm alone in a jail cell, I understand that God is still watching, and God would be unhappy if I couldn't handle it. Maybe we can talk about God, or we can also talk just about basic cosmic balance. I don't believe you can become the most famous man on the planet, calling yourself the top G, without the universe testing you if you're really about it. I don't think you're going to get to a point where the universe, whatever you want to call it, is going to say, is he really the top G? And you're going to have to prove it. If you walk through life and say, I'm made of iron, I'm Mr. Tough Guy, sooner or later someone's going to check you and find out if you are or not. So when I'm sitting in a jail cell by myself with cockroaches all over the floor, I'm like, okay, this is my chance to show I'm not full of shit. Was I full of shit? No, I wasn't. Am I going to allow everything I've ever said and my last name and my duty to God and everything to go down the pan, or am I going to just man up and fucking win? So I saw it, I guess, to a degree as an opportunity, but there was a massive burden of responsibility on me on how I had to perform. I didn't have time to be depressed or sad. I had things to do. Top G's kids can't eat. Top G's women can't pay the bills. Top G's business is over. No, I had to fix all of it from jail and fix myself and get out.
Is there a way that you're trying to live up to your father's image of you, or are you trying to surpass what your father did? Like, is there any motivation there for you?
I am Emory Andrew Tate III. He was Emory Andrew Tate II. My son will be Emory Andrew Tate IV. It is my job and my duty to my last name to be exceptional. I have respect for my name and my lineage. And to do anything other than push for absolute exceptionalism would be insulting to him and my grandfather and all of my ancestors, even all the way back to cavemen days, who fought saber-toothed tigers just to live long enough to fuck and pump a baby out. And I'm gonna turn up here now, 2,000 years later, and be a fat sack of shit. Ultimately disrespectful. And I have respect for the people who brought me on this planet. It is my job to be exceptional, not only for myself, but for everyone who ever created me. If you want to live life and go, oh, I'm average, it's okay, then you're insulting your parents and your grandparents and everyone fucking else. These people went through World War II and polio and smallpox and fucking ice ages to bring your stupid ass alive. And now you want to sit there and be average? You want to sit there and say, I'm sad and play video games? Then you're a fuck up.
Sitting there crying about bad things is never going to help you. If you're the kind of person who feels like they need therapy, need someone to talk to make me feel better, do you know what you are? You're useless. Because in the harshest realities of this cold world, there are people in Syria whose entire families have been blown to fuck with a bomb from the sky, who are still getting up every day, making fucking bread and selling it on the streets so they have enough money to buy a new pair of sandals sometime next year. While you're crying about fucking nothing with your first world bullshit to some dickhead therapist who probably does coke on the weekends.
Of course I'm trying to live up to the image of my father, because I'm his son. And my son will try to do the same for me. And I expect nothing less from him. And I don't think that is unhealthy in any regard. If I ever, it never happens, but if I ever did lack motivation, the first thing I think of is my family life. If you're not gonna be proud of who you are and your own last name and your ancestry, then what the fuck is the point of you even being here? To eat tacos? You could depress me to the depths of earth. You could put me in a cell by myself, solitary confinement for the rest of my life. You could kill every family member I have. You could chop my arms and legs off. I still won't kill myself. Because I refuse. Because I have a job to do. My job is to live as long as possible. That is my job, so is everyone else's. So yes, I absolutely am trying to live up to the memory of my father, and as my son will do for me. And I take it to that extreme where no matter what happens to me, I'm gonna stay a motherfucking man. Because that is my name, Tate. How can it be anything else? How can I be ordinary? Unacceptable.
The world is hyper competitive. If you're going to be a man who's going to sit and say, I'm just sad, you are always going to lose in competition to men like me. Yeah. And there has to be losers for there to be winners. I am tired of sympathy. Sympathy doesn't work for anybody. I'm not going to sit here and be sympathetic for people who say they're too sad to try hard and be their best. Guess what? Perhaps I was sad every time I did exactly what I was supposed to do and trained anyway. Perhaps I was afraid when I fought anyway. Perhaps I was tired when I worked anyway. This is how you get ahead in life. I don't have a fucking ounce of sympathy for these people who sit here and say, well, I feel this way, so I can't. Then don't do it. Stay down there. The winners are at the top, and the winners at the top don't give a shit about how they feel. We wake up and we perform regardless of how we feel day after day. So if I'm going to ignore my own feelings, I'm certainly not going to take into consideration anybody else's. Yeah. Why am I going to ignore how I feel and make sure I'm constantly performing regardless, flawlessly, and then sit and go, oh, but he doesn't feel good, so he's allowed to fuck up. No, you are not. You're not allowed to fuck up to your ancestors or to God or to yourself. You have to perform. This is what being a man is about. The baseline of masculinity is doing things you don't feel like doing. I can't comment on being a woman because I'm not one. But the baseline of masculinity as a whole is the thing that makes a good man a man is that he does what he doesn't want to do. He doesn't want to work and he works anyway. He doesn't want to go to war and he fights anyway. He doesn't want to get up, he gets up anyway. That's the whole point of it. We didn't want to die in the Titanic. Guess what happened? We died in the Titanic. You can't sit there as a man and say you don't feel like it. You're not allowed to not feel like it. You're supposed to do it anyway, regardless. Yeah. So when a man sits there and says, oh, but you don't understand, I'm struggling with motivation. If you are struggling with the motivation to be a winner, then stay a loser. No problem. Stay a loser. Don't care. Because in my circle, there's no losers around me. Your energy is disgusting. I find it revolting. I don't like weakness around me, even near me. Even people coming up saying hello to me. If you're depressed, don't even shake my hand. I do not have time for losers on any regard. Winners only. Men who have mental health issues, I wish them the best in the world. But when they come to me and say, and I get this all the time, Andrew, I have this problem, I'm depressed and I can't go to the gym. I say, no, I disagree. You're depressed because you don't go to the gym. If you go to the gym, you might start to feel better, right? I'm saying you can't sit as a man and afford the luxury of saying, I have a mental health issue today, I'm sad today, I'm stressed today, I'm emotional today, I can't work, because you will lose against the men who don't do that. As a man, it's player versus player, it's ultimately competitive, and as a man, you have to outcompete the other men who are prepared to get up and do it anyway. That's how it works. works. There's no such thing as saying, I'm sad, I need 2 weeks off. Not as a man if you want to be important. If you want to be important as a man, you have shit to do. You have duties. This is how it exists. This is how it's always been.
If I feel sad, it does not change how I act, and it does not change the things I do. If I don't feel like going to the gym, I go to the gym. If I don't feel like working, I will still work. I lived in a world for 15 years where I didn't feel like fighting because my nose was broken, but I had to fight anyway. Mm-hmm. So a lot of these people come up to me and they say, oh, but I feel this way. I don't put a huge amount of importance on emotions. It's not that I don't feel them. It's that I don't think they have much to do with anything at all. If I wake up in a happy mood and I have a business to run and females to cater for and things to do, if I wake up in a sad mood, I have the same shit to do. I'm going to get it done. So where's the importance of it? It's in my mind, that's how I view it. Like, how does that affect what I'm going to do? Well, nothing. It doesn't. It's not going to affect how I live my life. So why sit around and think about it? This modern obsession with happiness is the number one problem with the world. Because I really don't believe humans were ever evolved to be happy. Mm-hmm. Were we? If you're going to try hard at something, and I mean genuinely try, 99% of people will get adept at X thing. It doesn't matter what it is. If I decided I wanted to be good at piano and I gave it everything I got, I'd be able to play piano. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean? Like there's people with one hand who can play piano. It's just how much effort you're going to put in. I don't struggle at anything because if I decide I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. And I've never struggled with motivation. So if you don't struggle with motivation, then you're never going to struggle with anything in life. I mean, I'm naturally adept at some things, and there's some things I'm not as naturally adept at. But if you're prepared to work, you're prepared to work. So no, I don't struggle with anything. Life is not a struggle to me. I do not view life as difficult in any way. I think life is extremely easy. I believe that all of my problems are going to be fixed by me. That no one else is going to wake up and give a fuck about my problems the way I'm going to give a fuck. Nobody else is going to be prepared to go through what it takes to fix them but me. If I'm in the ring getting an ass kicking, not my coach, not my corner, not my fans, no one's going to get me out of there alive but me.
As a man, we live in hyper-competitive environments. I don't think enough men understand how competitive the world is. If you want a girl, you're competing against other men. You're not the only man who had the idea of getting that girl. There's no girl you're going to see and go, oh, I'll get that girl, and didn't cross anyone else's mind. Everybody else wants her. You have to outcompete other men. You have to be as competitive as possible. You have to be as successful as possible in all realms. You have to be as good-looking, as funny, as smart, as spontaneous, as interesting, as charismatic, as rich as possible. You need to try very hard to be your absolute best. And as you become a better man, you'll crack through different tiers of attractiveness, and eventually you get to the top and you'll be able to have any girl you want. But the truth is, I have a lot of guys ask me, similar to your question, a guy will come to me and go, how do I get a girl? I'm like, bro, you're a loser. Yeah, but I know, but how do I get a girl? Well, you're a fucking loser. You're a loser. Why are you asking me? It's like saying, how do I win a race with a push bike? You're racing Ferraris. What do you want me to do? Yeah. There's only so much you can do. There's only so hard you can pedal. There's only so many tricks and tips. There's only so many game things you can say, so many pickup lines. If you're a loser, it's going to be very, very difficult, and it's going to get harder and harder. The game is rigged to become harder and harder for men. It's not getting easier. It's going the other way. And if you're going to be on a racetrack and there's going to be Ferraris there, and you're going to be on a pedal bike or in a Nissan, you're going to get smoked. That's the game. You have to up yourself. You have to improve yourself. I'm not going to lie to anybody here and say you don't have to improve yourself. You can stay a loser and get chicks, because you can't. Yeah, you can't. This idea of random headaches is bullshit. It's bullshit. If you have a headache, it's for a reason. Did you hit your head? Yes or no? Well, no, you didn't hit your head. So are you dehydrated? Probably. Have you drunk a bunch of water? No. If you really drink a bunch of water and you didn't hit your head and your head still hurts, have you laid down, had a little nap? Maybe you were tired and now you feel okay again. Why are you taking drugs? I know people who just randomly 4 times a week, I have a headache. Let me just take this pill. What headache? Was your brain falling out? Is your brain rotting? Why do you have a headache for no reason? It doesn't make sense to me. It's stupid. A lot of it's psychological. A lot of it's placebo effect bullshit. And it's an entirely wrong worldview. You can't just go through life medicating yourself for imaginary fucking illness. It's dumb. If you want to get rich, you have to act quickly. You have to do things fast. Speed is rule 1. Not enough people understand the importance of speed, because every hour you spend not making money is an hour you're not going to get back. The sooner you turn on the tap to the money, the more money you're going to make. You have to be very, very quick. Life only teaches you lessons the hard way. There's no other way to truly learn a lesson. The things you'll notice about people is that when life is trying to give them a lesson the easy way, they'll ignore it. Oops. Oh, like you'll see it all the time.
People they'll have close call. They won't pay attention until something really bad happens, and then they'll be like, oh no, I'll do anything to take this back.
Yeah.
That's how people learn. No one learns the easy way. It takes a very smart person to learn the easy way. Everybody only learns the hard way ever.
The number one thing people don't have control of in their lives is their mind. But what's funny about that is, the only thing in life you can truly control is your mind. You can't control other people. You can't control the weather. You can't even control your health. Your heart might stop beating. You don't make it beat. It just goes. So it's going to turn off one day. The only thing you can control in your life is what you think in your mind. So if you're going to sit there and go, oh, I'm sad, well, you can change that if you actually try, but you don't. You just accept it, right? So people have lost control of their own minds. And I don't understand why you would allow your own mind, to take power from you. Why would you believe let your own mind convince you you're not a lucky person, or I'm not this, or I'm not confident? Why would you let your own mind sabotage you?